He made the fans crazier. He made the Garden louder. And he made the Celtics again.
The man known as the Big Ticket from his days at the Minnesota Timberwolves will now be forever etched in Celtics folklore as his number 5 jersey was officially retired by the Boston Celtics. Kevin Garnett, who spent 6 seasons with the franchise, was an emotional man on Sunday night as he saw his jersey being raised to the rafters. It was emotional on 2 counts as Garnett and Ray Allen also officially buried their hatchet, which lasted about 10 years. The beef started, by the way, when Ray Allen decided to leave the Celtics Big Three with himself, Garnett, and Paul Pierce to join forces with LeBron James and the then Miami Heat roster. Allen, who was sitting at the front of the audience, was called out by Garnett.
Now, I want to say something, man. It's good to see Ray Allen here, man. Real. Hey, Lord. It's good to see you here, Ray. You next, Lord. Ray next, damn it.
Yeah, the tough defensive-minded Garnett came across to the Celtics from the T-Wolves in 2007 and immediately helped them turn around the franchise records, helping them to a title in 07-08 over the late, great Kobe Bryant and the L.A. Lakers. Now, joining us to speak on the career of Kevin Garnett and his favorite memories is our NBA analyst, Alister Albert, who is an admitted Phoenix Suns fan now, but he has on this T-Wolves vest, which is probably telling us something about Kevin Garnett and what he wants.
That's right. That's right. This is my hope that, you know, after Glenn Taylor's ownership stake has been phased out by the new ownership that has come in, that Kevin Garnett will be called in and his jersey also be retired in Minnesota. You know, he's had a brilliant career there, but we're getting to that at some point, I suppose.
Yeah, you know what? Many years ago, I heard Usain Bolt being asked about his favorite NBA player, and he's a big NBA fan. And while people were talking about LeBron and Kobe Bryant and so on, Usain Bolt says Kevin Garnett is his player. And I said to myself, well, if Usain Bolt thinks you are the best, you must be pretty special.
And, you know, Usain Bolt was, you know, probably, he hit the nail right on the head. He's probably one of the most intense players that the league has ever seen. You know, Weiss Grusbeck, I think the GM of the Celtics, you know, labeled Kevin Garnett as, you know, 5 different things: the heart, commitment, loyalty, leadership, and championship. 5 adjectives that he used, or words that he used to kind of describe Kevin Garnett's tenure with the Boston Celtics. And apart from championship, you could probably say the same thing, you know, the same way for his time in Minnesota. And for Usain Bolt to kind of recognize that is him recognizing that strong personality that Kevin Garnett had throughout his whole career. You know, the intensity that he played with, you know, going 120% every single night, gave it his all, never cheated the game, you know, in terms of energy and effort. And, you know, he was an MVP in 2004. He was the best player in the game at that point. You know, so, you know, Usain Bolt kind of hitting that nail on the head for that. You know, there's nothing wrong with that because, you know, KG is definitely one of the best all time.
Yeah. And Alister, as we celebrate Kevin Garnett, let's spend some time talking about, you know, his role in ensuring that the Celtics got back to the top of their game.
Yeah, you know, Kevin Garnett, you know, coming to the Celtics in 2007, 2008, you know, he paid immediate dividends coming from the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, as I mentioned just a little bit earlier on, he peaked in that 2003-2004 season where, you know, he reached to the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers, but they lost. You know, he was the MVP that season. He led the league in rebounds. You know, he was just a phenomenal athlete. And I think his career crescendoed at that moment for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but he just couldn't get over the hump. Every season before that season, he went out in the first round every single time in the playoffs until that MVP season. And, he just had an amazing run. And when he came over to the Celtics, the Celtics were acquiring one of the top 5 talents in the league at that point. They were missing, a defensive intensity and just a game intensity that they didn't have. They had one of the worst records in the league before, a young rebuilding team around Paul Pierce, and they needed that guidance. And him, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen coming together with the new big three, the new super team, a super team becoming, a part of our vernacular since that point, coming together and just being a dominant group, winning 66 games in that season. He was the defensive player of the year. He just paid immediate dividends, and that's why they went on to win the championship along with Doc Rivers, guiding that team. Yes,
definitely top stuff. And as you mentioned, Ray Allen, and of course our viewers would have seen the massive part that he played just now in the ceremony, the jersey ceremony. Let's talk a bit now about how come the relationship became sort of soured.
Yeah, it got frosty, really frosty after the 2011-2012 season. The Celtics were put out by the Miami Heat, the team of Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and etc. And, it was a little bit of a bone of contention for the rest of the Celtics team. They were in the together as a team, fighting together, trying to get over that hump. Of course, they won in 2008. But from since that time, they've just been trying to get together to continue to dominate the league and be one of those all-time dynasties, trying to get another ring to kind of go with that 2008 ring. But after that season being beaten by the Miami Heat, Ray Allen decided, he was going to up and leave and go to the team that beat them, very similar to another player who did that some years ago as well. But, Ray Allen's circumstances were really different. He was on the trading block by the Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge was flirting with using him and floating his name around in the trade market. He was once rumored to go to the Grizzlies. Ray Allen was told that, and then the deal was cut off. He was taken out of the starting lineup, and he was put in as a sub behind Avery Bradley. He felt a bit disrespected, and on top of that, he had a very souring relationship with Rajon Rondo, who's another heavy, difficult personality to deal with. Very stubborn character, young guy coming in who wanted to command the team at the point guard position, and they just clashed, and that relationship just continued to get worse and worse and worse. And I think all of that coming in, the Celtics actually offered him more money, $12 million a year. He actually took less money to go to Miami because he was just really disappointed and with the relationship that was brewing with the Celtics. So he decided to leave, and that's what kind of facilitated that move to Miami. And of course, that really annoyed his teammates, especially Rajon Rondo and the big three.
Well, so heartwarming to see that, they've buried the hatchet, and of course, what a better time than such a special occasion.
Definitely, seeing KG's jersey going up into the rafters and everything, that was just the perfect moment. Let bygones be bygones. They were each responsible for bringing the championship to the Celtics, raising that 17th banner. And, it was great to see that KG, use the initiative to call him out, had that embrace, Paul Pierce jumping in, really sweet moments right there. And, it's really good to see that, and I also heard from reliable sources that, KG will be doing some really exciting things in the region really soon. I can't really see what it is right now, but, it'll be great to see more of KG even after this moment, maybe in the region. You might never know.
Yeah, it sounds as if you have some information for us that you're keeping under your sleeve, Alister, but we talk to you regularly, so I don't think that information will be lost on us for too long. Thanks, Alister. We'll be in touch.
No problem. See you guys later.
Yes, and before we go to the break, let's head over to the results from Sunday night's games now. The Brooklyn Nets won 110-107 over the Knicks. Kevin Durant with 53 points on the night. The Clippers were 106-102 winners over the Pistons. The Mavericks beat the Celtics. The Magic, they were beaten by 2 by the 76ers. The Pelicans won over the Rockets. The Hawks beat the Pacers. The Grizzlies beat the Thunder. And the Lakers were badly beaten by 29 points by the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker scoring 30 points. The Bahamian DeAndre Ayton getting 23 points and a game-high 16 rebounds. And on that night, even in defeat, some attention to LeBron James, who completed 30,000 career points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists. The only player in NBA history at the moment with those statistics. We go to break with that, and we'll be back with more on The Zone.